everyone. That little composition, quite often sung and stressed in our memory, is not just composed for the music thereof, but for the very words it says. It's a privilege to realize, as simple as it may apparently be, and little as it is in consideration, when you recognize God's body, you will value each other's lives. You will no longer hate or dislike any man because of his differences from you in appearance. But you will value each other's life. Aren't you glad? And will no longer be filled with prejudice, division, and strife. For this cause we do rejoice, and we're happy to say those words came out of God's mouth. And you can actually see it. Something that transcends your fondest imagination. Something that goes into infinitude. Changing the minds and the nature and the characteristics of the children of men, and actually causes them to be new, pure, and clean. Whensoever we sing that little song, is stressed in my memory continually. For as by inspiration, through transmission, it came. And yet it's the experience of everyone. There will be no more race riots and lynching. There will be no more division and strife when we recognize God's body. Each and every one who recognizes God's body will value the other one's life. So then, it actually does more for you than all of your schools of learning can or could do. And you're not see the mistress. Does more for you than all of your work and your mission, all of your churches and religion. With all of the criticism, carnality, immortality may try to perform concerning your humble servant, they can see and know universally that God in person is doing and has done more than all of our religions together. Just in that little composition, in the illustration, it is so far reaching when you stop to consider this is the sample, this is example, where you will not even think of race riots. You will not think of lynching, only as an illustration. But as far as those detestable and inhuman acts of men, you will not think of them as being in your midst. Aren't you glad? As I have long since declared, it's immaterial to me whether there be an anti-lynching legislation or not, for we do not need it. Such is for the lawless, as said the scripture, yea, the gospel epistle. The law is for the lawless. But if you live this life as exemplified among you, you will not have an occasion to have or need such a law. But to those who live in self and sin until they are born again, they need to have a new birth of freedom from all of that detestable nature prenatal within them before they can live in blessed assurance and peace on earth and goodwill toward men. But the recognition of God's body, it will solve your every problem and automatically adjust matters satisfactorily for you. For as I have long since declared by composition, as a motto and yet as a declaration, and as a message, and as a song of praises. The spirit of the consciousness of the presence of God is the source of all supply, and it will satisfy every good desire. If you can convert yourself into that conviction and be actually conscious of God's actual presence, knowing that God is with you here, there, and everywhere, as ever present, as well as omnipresent, and as your guide and protection, as well as that of your spiritual ecstasy and enthusiasm. God is actually present, and God's actual presence automatically works, automatically adjusts matters satisfactorily, and satisfies the good desires of those who are so exercised thereby. Aren't you glad? The source of all supply has this conviction as the commission of Jesus. It will solve your problems because that is what Jesus came for. His name shall be called Emmanuel, which is, being interpreted, God is with us. To become conscious of God's presence and to realize the spirit and the nature of it, you will find that your problems are solved, and you will find all success and all prosperity. For the spirit of it is the source, and it is the supply. Aren't you glad? A little while ago, when one of the speakers mentioned our visiting guest, I thought, as it was said, that there were some visiting guests sitting down the table, some of whom we had not met personally, had not heard of personally, but we desired to have them up near where we could look at them and they could look at us. And if that was their desire, to them this day the scripture is fulfilled in their hearing. Before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. I often think of one of our compositions came by inspiration to one many years ago. It is so sweet just to know that my Father loves me so. He will listen to my heart's faintest cry. I will trust in His grace, for I've seen His smiling face. It is so sweet just to know He is here. God will listen to your heart's faintest cry if you make the rightful contact. And as I say constantly, it's not necessary to contact me personally, for it's not anything I will do personally. But since God is a spirit, and He seeketh such to worship Him in spirit and in truth, contact me mentally and spiritually, conscientiously and sincerely, but sympathetically and harmoniously, and have implicit faith and unshaken confidence, and relax your conscious mentality, and still your egotism or egotistic self, and let God have access. God automatically, for you and to you, will express. Then I say it's a privilege to know that your Father loves you so. He will listen to your heart's faintest cry. It's so sweet just to know that he is near. Aren't you glad? Not only near, but at all times. Here. As you realize it, confessing yourself within yourself, God is present. Such a conviction will automatically solve your problems. Aren't you glad? There are many things I could say, but I believe I've said enough to touch the keynote of your soul. And after all, the half has never been told.